City Bestie, welcome back to CreativeDisc exclusive interview with me, Luthfi. And right now we have a special guest. I think like this is my pleasure for me to interview this indie pop project because I think like when I heard Zentropy for the first time, I think like it's a cutesy album and it's really honest album and it's really a good sounding album. I think like it's kind of rare, to uh, listen to indie pop records like K records, like the simplicity of the lo-fi indie pop records in there, and they already make a new album. And this is the pleasure because this is one of the, I think, like magical indie pop band that I've ever heard. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Greta Kline. Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm spelling your name wrong. Sorry. So this is Greta Kline from Frankie Cosmos. Is it true?
Greta Kline.
Greta Kline. Oh my God! Yes, this is Greta Kline.
Thank you so much. What a great introduction. That's so nice.
Thank you very much for having me too.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start this interview with the first question. Like, how are you doing right now?
I'm great. I'm really excited. It's sort of my first day doing interviews about this record. So it's I'm sort of getting to think about my album and talk about it for sort of the first time.
Really?
To people that are not like, in the band, like on the record label. But yeah, it's really it feels really good, and I'm really excited to put it out.
So this is the first tour, the first press tour for this new album.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Oh wow! I've got the premiere information. I've got an exclusive information, I think. Okay, so let's talk about straight to your new album, Different Talking. I think like Different Talking is like, is it come out in like June? Is it? Am I correct?
Yeah.
So can you like speaking more the detail of this album?
Yeah. It's 17 songs. We made it just as a band. Me, Greta Kline, Alex Bailey, Hugo Stanley, Katie Von Schleicher is the current lineup of the band. And it's my first album with two of those people. So it's sort of a new dynamic with the group. And we recorded it without an external producer. So it was just the four of us hitting record, setting up all the, instruments and wiring everything to be recorded, and picking all the sounds. There was really like no other input. So it was really, we had a lot of time and a lot of like learning together about how to do that. And we made something that I think turned out exactly how I wanted. And I'm really proud of how it sounds. And it was a really nice way to get to sort of develop my relationship with my new bandmates. So I'm really excited to like work on the live show with them and take these songs into the world.
It's like there are challenging things because this record is produced without external producer. I think like, and you are wiring and you are making all by yourself. I think like is it like any challenging things when you are making these records?
Yeah, there was definitely a few challenging things. I think it was probably hardest for Katie because she's an engineer like as her job, and so we had this, that was sort of why we were able to do the record this way, because she knows how to record an album. But it meant that she had to be like doing the most of playing music while being the person who's hitting record and making sure everything's sounding okay and dealing with technical issues and stuff. But yeah, it was, I mean, the worst like drama that we had was really just, we had a tape, we were recording to a reel of tape, and it was,
wow.
Yeah, we did all the basics to tape. So the first reel of tape we had was shedding, which was just like, it basically just means that it was like falling apart. And we had to wait for a new reel of tape to come. And we were sort of like internally like having these conversations of like, is it worth it to record to tape? If it's, we didn't know if it was the tape or the machine, and we were sort of like, if it's the machine, what do we do? Do we just move forward and not use tape? And the boys really wanted to record to tape. The girls were like, we just want to make a record, we want to just move on. And we were kind of like butting heads about it, but luckily the second tape we got worked. It was not the machine's fault, so it all worked out in the end, and we were able to record to tape.
Is it like harder to getting a real tape right now? I must say in this time.
It's not that hard. There's still being, there's people still do it. A lot of people record to tape still, so it's I don't know if they're still producing tape or if it's just like old stock, but we were able to get a new one and it was no problem. And it was like the first one we had bought was just like expired or something. But yeah, so it's technical issues really. Yeah.
It's very very unique, because I think like that's the biggest difference from your past record, the past record, because I think like when you are making like the different your new album, is it like any difference in maybe like in the sound, in the mindset, or in the process when you are making it, beside you are making on your own and it's on the tape?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, it was sort of a return to that feeling, because I hadn't recorded to tape since Next Thing. So we did like Zentropy and Next Thing were both to tape, and then actually no, then we did Vessel. We did a lot of it on tape too. But that was the last time that I worked with tape, and I was kind of like, yeah. So it was sort of I think working to tape is like, on top of being bringing technical issues, it's like a psychological phenomenon where you are more like accepting of a take, because you know that it might not like end up being perfect, and you know that you only have so many times to like record it. So I think that is like that was what the boys were kind of like arguing for as like a merit of working to tape, is that there's this limitation that kind of like makes everybody like, you want to play together and you want to record it all at the same time, drums, bass, guitars like together. So yeah, so I think that was a really nice sort of thing to come back to. And then yeah, I mean, having two different bandmates, I think, changed the vibe of the album a little bit, and the sounds, and sort of like it was cool to see how they filled the roles of the bandmates that they were replacing. And yeah, I think I never really know like the themes of a record or like what it means until it's kind of all done and out there, and then I can kind of start to understand it as a, from a, just be able to study it with some distance, So I'm almost there where I can explain the record, but not yet.
Yeah. I think like, because I think like now you mentioned it, I think like you've made the last album that you recorded on the tape, it's Zentropy, and I think like when I heard Vanity, I think like it's kind of like a time machine things. I think it's kind of like take me back to the Zentropy era, but I think like you kind of level up on there. I think on the, especially on Vanity, I think like there's a progressive in it, but it is still Frankie Cosmos. I think like, what was the story behind that track?
Totally. Thank you for saying that. That's really cool to hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it is like that. It did feel like the process of making the record all together, it made me feel like a teenager again. Like it felt like we're learning how to record, we haven't like played that many shows all together. And it wasn't like, it just felt, very like organic as a process. And we also didn't, this is the longest I've ever spent making a record where it was like, there was no time constraint on it. Because normally we're paying by the day to be somewhere, and this time, because we like set up our own studio, we were not like having to crunch time. So yeah, so it does feel like it did feel like an expansion, like you said, like a leveling up on the Zentropy vibes. Because it's like I do have, it's like I'm entering the Zentropy mindset, but with like a decade of music experience. So yeah, it felt really good. And Vanity was a cool one. It's the only song on the record that has electronic drums with
Yeah.
live drums.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, all the rest of it is just live drums, but so it was kind of a funny like first choice for the single because it's maybe misleading about like how the record sounds. But yeah, I really liked how it turned out, and I was making my demos in the last few years. I started making them with like Casio beats again, some of my
Mm.
demos, and so that was like Vanity was one of those that I kind of was making it in that vein. So it was that's one that's like pretty close to the vibes of the demo that I had originally made for it.
Oh, really? We are gonna talk about the Zentropy era itself because I think like this is interesting because I think like when I heard Zentropy, it's like kind of like shocked me. It's like record made but on the 2014, and when I see the Stereogum article that the Zentropy turns 10, I think like, oh wow, this is the nice record because I think like this is the retrospective records, but you keep it simple, you keep it under 2 minutes. Like, can you retell about your Zentropy era a little
Yeah,
bit?
I mean, it was I was let's see if it came out in 2014, I was recording it in 2013. I was writing the songs in 2012, so I was like 18 and I was in love for the first time and I was figuring out who I am and you know depressed and confused uh and yeah, I just wrote I wrote short songs and that Zentropy was, we made it as a two piece. So it was like my band was
Yes.
just me and my boyfriend at the time, like my high school boyfriend playing
Yes,
drums.
yes, 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 yes.
It was just the two of us. And so the recording was like, it was like, what if we made an album? And so we just went to our friend Hunter's studio
Mm,
and who recorded to tape. And he was like, and we just played our live set that we would play at shows and he
mm,
just recorded it. Like it was sort of like we showed him what we had. We were like, here's the songs we have and here's how we played them live. And then we just recorded them. And then we just recorded, drums and guitar and a scratch vocal. And then
mm.
we added a couple synths, like some bass parts, but I didn't even have like a real band. So it was really a formative recording experience. It was my first
Mm,
time like having someone else hit record for me.
mm,
And Hunter is amazing. Like he definitely like I owe that sound of Zentropy to Hunter, forever. He really like got the vibe, captured the vibe of the band to tape. So it was just a really special crazy time. We made it in like 4 days. We made it over
how
we made
fast?
it
How
in like
fast?
it was like I was in school, so we made it like on the weekends. We like drove up, stayed one weekend like to visit him and recorded, and then we went one other weekend. It was probably 4 or 5 days total.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, it was such a cool. It's such a special record. It's such a of course, being the person that made it, like when I hear it now, there's things I want to change about it. There's mixing notes that I would make differently now. But you can't that's part of what's cool about making records and about aging and time passing is it's like
mm,
you have to live with it and you can always like play the songs live and change, they can keep changing and growing, or you could
mm.
always re-record something, but it's cool to have this like records are really just like a time capsule of like
Yes,
that
yes.
period of the band.
But how do you feel about that album in your point of view and in your age now? How do you feel when you're looking back?
I mean, I don't go back and listen to it very much. I probably should. I should check it out and let you know how I feel. Um, I feel like it was a I didn't know I was going to be a musician at that time. Music is,
Really? Is it like the random project?
kind of. I was playing in another band and we were recording with Hunter. And I kind of like offhandedly was like, what if I made nice recordings? Like what if I tried paying Hunter to like make a record with me? Because I had that experience of recording, for the other band. But I didn't know what I had no idea like what that was gonna reach people or like be. I knew that my couple friends and my little community that I would play shows to, like that there was interest in like the music I was making, just like because I would play in Brooklyn and in New York and upstate and like around, and I had this community of musicians who were like supportive, but I didn't know that it was gonna have this whole be reaching anybody outside of my like friends. So it was really, really, that's probably Zentropy is the last time I recorded an album not knowing that anyone would hear it. It's really weird to think about. It's cool, and it's a time capsule. Yeah.
Yeah. And from I think like this is one of the unique things that I found. Most of your songs is on the 2 and 3 minutes. Like you keep it super short. Is it like any intention to it?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't really like to like listen to something that's that long, and
Really?
yeah, I like stuff that I have a short attention span. Like to me, it's like I like to hear the chorus like no more than 3 times. I'm like, I get it. I don't know. I kind of like, I feel like if the song's really good and you love it and you like want more, you can play it again.
Yeah. I can
And
agree with that in my opinion.
yeah, like for me, it's like writing in my diary. It's like, okay, I got the idea out. Now I'm gonna go to the next page and like maybe I'll revisit the idea, but it's like gonna be in another form. So it's like I'm always just trying to like make another song. I'm not trying to like build on the same one for too long. Um, but yeah, I think I just like short like songs that you can just get in your head. You can sing the whole thing like on the walk from your house to the grocery store, like, and that's it. You don't have to, it's nice and short and sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. But do you think the shorter song of yours work to your advantage in today's era of short attention spans?
Yeah, totally. It's crazy. Okay, it's hard to explain because it's like I feel like young people now who are discovering music through like TikTok and stuff,
Yes.
they're all hearing, 10 seconds of the song and like that's it, it was sort of like when I was a kid, there was something called hit clips and they were like
Yes. I know it. I
and
know it.
it's like that kind of thing of music where you're getting like a snippet of it.
Yes.
And it's such a weird way, it's such a modern way to like connect to music because before the generations before me, it's like they were listening to the radio, they were listening to records. You're like sitting by the radio, like my mom when she was a kid, like sitting by the radio with a cassette recorder to like record her favorite song when it comes on so that she can hear it again. And it's such a different relationship to music now that we have. So I think I was a little bit like ahead of the shortest attention spans that were yet to come. Like I was before TikTok, I was making the 10-second song,
Really?
you know what I mean? Like that was I would have TikTok would have loved that. They would have loved Empathy if they had been around, to know if they've been born yet, the kids who are on TikTok.
You read the future. I think you read the future, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's like we make the future, we are culture. Like everyone is part of it. I'm just part of a generation of people with a shorter attention span and and I blame television, you know,
It clips too, I think.
and the internet.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your take on the indie pop scene right now, in your opinion?
I think it's awesome. I'm so happy that so many people are making music. I feel like I think there's a huge, renaissance of home recording and
Yes.
people having access to making, music that's sounds like pop music, and it doesn't need to be recorded in a fancy studio. So I think that's really cool. And yeah, there's so many great indie musicians out there doing just working away. So it's cool to I feel camaraderie with all my fellow musicians.
Yeah, I think like the past like 10 years, 11 years, the indie pop scene is like, moving in the fast place. I think, we get, Boy Genius, Fabrizio's like following in your footsteps, the Mitski one. I think like without the Frankie Cosmos itself, project, I think like the woman in indie music is, I think like doesn't exist, I think, or doesn't go big as right now, I think.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to believe that 10 years ago or 11 years ago, most shows I played, I was the only girl on the show. And now it's like I never play.
Oh wow.
It was but at that time in New York, it was like people were like, "Ooh, we have to like have at least one girl on the show so that we don't seem like sexist." Like people were like it was like you were trying so hard to like make sure that a girl played. And it's like
Oh
now it's
wow.
like every show I play is with women and non-binary people, and not just
Yes,
men's
yes,
bands.
yes.
It was so much more like of a men's business, like music and recording. And so I do feel like something about Zentropy that like spoke to teenagers and like the culture of that time. I do think I believe that like it allowed record labels and like executives and whoever's like out there making the decisions about the industry we're in to see like a profitability in young women. And I feel really proud to be part of like that guard of people like who are now, I mean, they're all so much more successful than me, but like Japanese Breakfast and Mitski and Claro and Phoebe Bridgers, all these people who now there's a world where that is like a kind of music that's considered profitable. And I'm so like happy to have been part of, just people seeing that you can do that. You can be a girl and like make music in your house, and it's just as valid as like Guided by Voices doing it, or Beat Happening, or
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, since now you mentioned it, Guided by Voices, I think like now you mention it, I think like you heavily inspired by Guided by Voices.
Oh, totally. There's no
Yeah,
Frankie
the short
Cosmos without Guided by
songs.
Voices. Yeah.
Okay, so we are gonna left with the two last questions. The first one is like, this is like the trickiest one. So mention 5 things we didn't know about Frankie Cosmos project.
Ooh, okay. 5 things you didn't know.
Mm.
My bandmate Katie is an engineer, and she's an incredible engineer who's worked on lots of cool records,
Oh,
and the reason we got to home record
because of
um
her.
because of her. And we met her because she co-engineered our last record. That's fact number one. Fact number two, my drummer, Hugo Stanley, was formerly in a band called Palm, that is kind of like experimentally crazy music that is very different from us. um, and then they toured with Alex Bailey, my third bandmate, was in a band called Warehouse that
Oh.
makes kind of also like post-punky, very different from us music. They used to tour together, Warehouse and Palm. What else?
The fourth one.
Fourth one. Oh man, I'm trying to think of a cool fun fact.
You can like your favorite movies or your favorite records or your favorite of the time.
Totally. Oh, I have one. I really love drawing comics and comic books, and Michael Hurley is one of my favorite musicians, and he also drew comics. And I just love like musicians and comics and the way that those are connected for a lot of artists. And then my fifth one will be, oh, what's my favorite like movie? I really love, what do I really love? I really love the TV show Pen 15. I
Wow.
want to recommend Pen 15 to everybody. And those are my 5 facts.
Okay, so really, what's your favorite comics of all time?
Oh my gosh, of all time.
You can mention more than one.
Yeah. Okay. Recently I read so this is a new favorite comic, this series called Wendy, which is about like a girl trying to be a visual artist like in art like MFA programs, and it's really funny, and she's kind of like not she's kind of an asshole, and like and it's just funny. It's like this Canadian comic, and she's just this like gross kind of vain girl struggling with being an artist and maintaining friendships and stuff. um and then I would say like a comic that I think changed my life is called American Elf, and
Oh.
this guy James Kacholka, he drew a comic every single day for like 10 years. So he would just draw a 4-panel comic about his day,
Oh.
like anything that happened that day, like little moments. And I think his attention to small moments and like finding the beauty in them and turning them into this like tome of collected art is a huge part of why I make music and why I ended up making the kind of music I make, because and he's also a musician, but another comic and musician combination. But yeah, just the idea of like seeing beauty in these little things and turning it into a song or a poem or a comic, and just having it as like part of an exercise of being like present in your daily life.
Oh wow! That's a good recommendation. I will check your recommendation after this interview.
Sweet.
Okay, so the last question for this session: what's next for Frankie Cosmos?
Okay, up next we have a few more singles coming out soon with music videos. We're working on some really fun music videos that are going to come out in the next couple months, and then we've got the record coming out and hopefully touring for a while with that. We got some big tours, and I hope to come tour in Asia. Would be amazing. I'm angling for 2026. We'll see. It would be really cool to get out there. And yeah, just working on another record at some point, and just living music forever.
We're gonna waiting for you in Indonesia, especially, there's like indie pop rise in Indonesia too. So we are gonna watching you. We are gonna watch that space for you to come
Cool.
to Indonesia.
Yeah, I would love that. I had such a great time. We played at a festival in Jakarta in 2019, and it was so great.
Really? What's the name?
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember. I'll tell you the name of it.
The Joyland one?
Yeah, Joyland. Yeah, it was
You
so
should
cool.
you should come to the Joyland in the 2016 2016, because 26 I think, because it is like the growth. I really fans of the Joyland festival too.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was like, yeah, I could tell that there was like really cool like indie rock community there.
Yes, it's very tight knit indie community, and you should come next year, I think.
Yeah, if they'll have us, I would love to come back. It was amazing. So glad that I got to go like before the whole world kind of shut down, that I got to go and have those incredible tours, across the world. So hopefully now I can come back if they'll have me.
Yes, you should come back to the Joyland Festival very soon.
Totally.
Okay, so that's it. That's the interview for Greta Kline. Thank you very much for having me for this session, Greta. It's very pleasure to meet you. Can you promote the social media of Frankie Cosmos to the viewers?
Oh yeah, of course. We've got social media. I've got a website, frankiecosmosband.com, and links to all my stuff there. But we've got it pretty active on Instagram, which is Frankie Combos. And then I think my TikTok is just called Frankie Cosmos, and I'm posting on there all the time. And YouTube, I'm trying to upload, behind the scenes, making the record, and yeah, just I'm all over the place on the internet, but everything's on my little website, and I maintain it myself. So so it's I'm pretty active on there. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was so nice to meet you.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you too. So once again, this is Greta Kline. Thank you very much for having me, and don't forget to subscribe creativedisc.com and check out creativedisc.com too. This is Luthfi, and this is Greta signing off. See you on the next interview. Bye bye.